Hello Tempest and whoever else is watching this video. I wanted to do a short video talking about some problems I saw in the last scrim, and I feel like this is a really good topic so other people can watch it as well. Right, so I want to show why angles are important in basically all kind of team comps, and what the two main things you want to think about, because I can go really rant on about it, but got to make sure it's tangible in game, are the effective range and the mobility differences between the two comps, right? So both teams have Kiri, Lucio, Sojourn, right? So that doesn't really matter. Blue team, Rein, Junkrat, close range, right? That's what Junkrat excels at, right? Extreme close range. Rein, he has a hammer. Ramatra, he can do close and, kind of long to mid. And Genji's close, but he has mobility, right? High ground, he can dash, right? He can go wherever. So the comp that leans more towards mobility, first, second range, they want to play to essentially surround the enemy team, take as many aggressive angles as possible, right? The blue team, they're really good at running it down, right? You're just kind of pushing in. They still take angles, but differently, and I can go into that. But we're looking at the red team for the examples moving forward, right? So if we look at this fight, right? I want to highlight the importance of we're not under pressure because we just won the fight. So what do we do with all this space that we got? Right, let's see. I'm just going to let it play out. We get a stagger pick on the junk. That's really good. Right? But what's the problem here? Right? What is the problem? Our Sojourn is not establishing a high ground position. Our Genji could. Maybe the Genji does mid-fight. We don't know, right? They're just getting some poke, right? That's fine for Blade. Our Ramatra can't, right? They could be over here. Harder to get at. Forces the rotation here, right? And Lucio should be on high ground, right? He benefits, right? Not only defensively by protecting the people that are on high ground, like the Sojourn and the Genji, but if they just go main, we boop them further in, further out of position. Easier to, kill. Right? Let's play this fight out. Again, within Sojourn's effective range, Genji's range, he can drop and then reclimb. He doesn't have to use dash to engage, right? And we're splitting attention, right? From a comp that wants to get in close range. We'll see what happens. They don't do that. They stack as 5 players, which I didn't see at the start. But for 90% of the cases, unless you're using ult or some sort of niche thing or some very map-specific part of the map, you don't want to do that, right? Especially when you're fighting. So what do? They just don't take any angles at all, right? Other than one arrow, and they lose, right? Because why? Because the other team is better at that, right? Everything in front of the blue team, they win. Everything in front of the red team, they don't win. Their characters are designed to take angles, right? Into the enemy team kind of comp. Right? So there's what? 3 minutes on the clock. We lose every single fight, right? And we don't cap. Because of the same problem. We do the same thing over and over again. We just kind of run it down main and die, right? Next example is at 13, and this one's really good. Really good example. So we're talking a little bit in between the rounds, right? Basically saying, okay, they might play the Rein comp again. What are we going to do? We're going to change. Okay, we're not on Genji anymore. We're on Hanzo to increase our range damage, right? Still taking that angle, right? So, okay, what can we do? Right, enemy team's going to do one of 3 things. They're going to walk this way, high ground, or they're just going to walk onto someone, right? But either way, wherever the enemy team's going, we want to maintain these angles on them because we have the superior range, right? Versus the Rein and the Junkrat, right? And they also have mobility, right? Is the second key thing, right? They especially Sojourn, range and mobility should be taking angles. Hanzo outranges the comp, right? And the Rein and the Junk, so he should be taking angles as well, right? If he, yeah. Right, if we look at the 2 ways they can do that, right? They can go through here or up here, right? And the difference is we want to look at effective range. This is very close quarters. The Rein and the Junk, better at close quarters. This is longer sightlines, better for our DPS. And second, it's very hard to contest, someone up here if you're the blue team, right? You'd have to make an entire team rotation, right, to clear them. But we do take an angle. Our soldier does do that. Does go through hotel. But the problem is this is the wrong angle, right? It's very easy to get pressured out. 1, 2 Junkrat nades and you can't play here anymore, right? But if you're up here, or up here, it's not the same case, right? Now, yes, you can say, oh, we're worried about Widow. Well, okay, you stand here and you don't move. Don't worry about Widow. Yet they have to rotate. They have to push. Alright, but what do we end up doing? Well, let's watch. We stack as 5 players. What does that allow? It's really easy for the enemy team to push in. This Reinhardt, if he was a better player, he would have instantly pushed in. Recognizing that there was no angles, no crossfire, right? Everything's in front. It's really easy for him to get into his effective range and swing on everyone, right? And kill everyone. The blue team takes too long, other mistakes, but the underlying problem is heavily positional based. And we could see the exact same problem later on in 16, let me get the timestamp, 1640. Right? So here, again, I want us to think about effective range, mobility, right? Everything's the same except the Ramatra and Hanzo versus the Reining Junk. So what does that mean for us? Well, same thing. We abuse the fact that we have more range damage than them, right? So using that, knowing that fact, and mobility, we set up these crossfires, right? So look, let's watch this fight. I know we're down Ramatra, but they'll come back. Right, so 2 things. Payload needs to get capped here. I'll let it play out, right? That's already the problem. We already lost this fight. Doesn't matter what happens next, we already lost. Alright, let's replay it. Right? Why are we pushing into their effective range and out of ours rather than letting them push into ours and out of theirs? Right? Right? Now we can do that stacked, but then we still have the same problem of not taking full advantage of our characters. We fix that having someone up here. You know? Have someone on this high ground. So that the more they push the cart out here, the more effective this angle becomes. Right? Right? We don't do that. We don't play within our effective range. We don't set up these angles, such, you know, crossfires, right? However you want to look at it. And we push into them. Right? Now we can play this out. Now what happens? We're in their effective range, right? And we're not even able to all shoot them, right? We have 1 line of damage that is bad, right? And it's bad because our characters want to lean towards playing for these positions because we have more mobility and more range than the enemy team, right? Specifically the range part. The mobility is kind of the same. So it's like Hanzo and Junkrat, right? But the range is the key thing, right? And we lose effects of it. So we're gonna look at Rialto. This was a pretty bad one. Another way to look at the Kingdra last fight is like we're spoon feeding our deaths to them. We're pushing into their space rather than ours. So same assessment here, right? Okay, well it looks like both teams have, well, you know, both teams have range, right? We have a Widow and a Pharmacy. They have a Pharmacy and a Torb. You could argue we have a little more range, Widow versus Torb. But they have a Mantra, so it's a little more range damage. But we have Ball, right? So even if we assume Widow and Torb are kind of equal value, just looking at the tanks, we have the mobility to, and I think we can watch our Ball's POV for this, right? What are we allowed to do? We go all the way behind them! Directly behind them is the best angle you can get ever. It makes them literally turn 180. So now, what should we be doing? right? We should be playing for angles to get our hit on the enemy team, right? But we don't do that. We see that 4 players stay here for the entire 4 minutes of our attack, right? Spoiler: we get the cart here. We don't win a fight. Our ball is the only one taking an angle, right? Our Pharah can push this way, and then our Widow can stay main, and then our Ana can play main, or maybe in here or something, right? Or high ground, right? Depends how pressured they get. But what ends up happening, we have an arrow this way, we have an arrow this way, and we have an arrow this way. The enemy team is incapable of doing the exact same thing to us because they don't have the mobility to. Right? Right? Now, the same thing can be true if they're playing the Rhine junk right here. Our soldier can take this high ground because they have the range and the mobility to. Our Hondo can take the angles, right? So that's the things we want to think about. We don't cap, right? Because we play our comp wrong because we're in the wrong position. Next map, we have Colosseo. I have 2 unique examples for this one. Pretty good. Right, so we take a while to start. We're like 3 minutes something we start. So, just looking at comps, pretty similar, right? We have a little more range, they have a little more mobility, only at the support, right? I think this is the least impactful part. So there could be a way to just say for like, oh, we should play closer together, we should play angles, but either way, right? We should still. We have Tracer. What does Tracer want to do? Flank. We don't want to stack as 5. That's never the answer. Right? Again, 90% of the time, it's not the answer, right? Unless you're doing very specific things, and that was happening in none of these maps. Right? Looking at this, how can we establish, like, the fight's gonna happen somewhere here. We want another angle on them. We don't want everyone here shooting at them. Bad, right? And even our angles could be as many as like 1 person here, 1 person here, but we don't have the comp for that. Our Tracer's pushing, right? Pushing left side, and the Tracer's fighting here. Imagine if we sent our Lucio with the Tracer, right? Would they be able to force this Tracer out? Our Tracer gives us this lane for free. We don't even fight for this. Now their Tracer can flank. Their Tracer can pressure our Ana, set up an angle behind, as they push our tank. One of 2 things will happen. Our Ana will die, or our Ramatra will die. Because they're splitting attention. We're doing none of that to the enemy team, so we need to be doing that. Our Lucio and Tracer can go left, right? Win this lane control, force the Tracer to funnel back. Tracer can now flank this way. And our Ramatra could let them walk in a little bit. Now, look at that. We have a good pinch. We have a great pinch on the enemy team. Right? Even if our Tracer and Lucio don't kill anything, their Ramatra is definitely not getting healed. Right? So that's how we want to look to play this, right? It'd be the same thing on, like, if you played Ursa, right? And we had a Kiriko, right? Now what changes is with the part of the map, what DPS gets that support pocket, right? So if we're pushing the payload, like let's say our tank is holding here, we have a soldier back here, right? Maybe the soldier gets the Lucio pocket as our Kiri pushes cart or something, right? Or the Kiri plays this, right? Because they might be in a better position, right? So it really depends on what part of the map you're investing a support to our DPS to push a lane so we can set up these pinches, right? Yeah. Looking at the next timestamp, we have one at 7. We won this map, but we also didn't win this map. We played really poorly in some parts, right? So that's what I want to. We never played this part of the map right for the entire 10-minute rank game, right? And that's what I'm gonna look at right now. So we want to go into this fight establishing some sort of advantage, usually positionally through angles, right? For every fight, right? And I want us to look at this fight and just watch what happens. Spoiler: it involves stacking as 5 players. Wow, if I'm this soldier, bro, I'm loving this. Anything that walks through here gets shot in the front by Ramatra, gets shot in the back by a Soldrin. Oh, there's also a Tracer shooting in the back while they're getting shot by Ramatra. Oh, the Soldrin can drop and completely surround them with the Tracer? Wow. That's terrible for everyone here. Right? So there's two ways. Two kind of approaches to this. We can send our tank high ground before the enemy team even comes. Like, our Ramatra should be looking to hold space, can fight for here, force everyone off this bridge, keep everyone in front of the Ramatra, and then send Soldrin here. Now look, we have a crossfire. Soldrin pressuring this way, Ramatra pressuring this way. If they walk forward, Ramatra can kite back, pushing into the Soldrin line of sight, and we can get that good pinch. And we can have like Lucio or Kiri pushing card. I don't, it's less important. Oh, maybe Kiri because she can always TP. And maybe Lucio with Ram or with the Soldrin, right? Less important. But the point is, we have a crossfire. We're holding space effectively, and we have this pinch. Or we can send our tank point, and then our Lucio and Tracer, or maybe Soldrin and someone sides up here, right? But as support and DPS, as a little duo, hit squad are looking to go from behind. So let's replay this fight. And imagine we did that. So if our Macho should be here by now, and our Soldrin with the support should be fighting for this high ground to kill or their Lucio and Soldrin, force them back. And then now their tank has a much more difficult time. Their whole team has a more difficult time surrounding us. Let's say we don't do that, we go with plan B. Right. Let's see. So our Ana would play so closer to cart with our tank. And then our Tracer and Lucio would be coming up. Right about now, they'd be coming up over here, forcing their Kuri out. Instead of her kunaiing your team in the back, we force her out, maybe kill her. Go up high ground, pressure their Soldier and Lucio, kill him, or force him out. All of that's going on, we're splitting attention, right? So even if it's a 2v2 here and a 3v3 over here, it's an even fight, right? Or more of an even fight, rather than going into this fight and lose. You can look at this and be like, we lost a fight. Doesn't matter what we do, we lost a fight. We're so poorly positioned, right? So that's what I want us to think about, right? I want us to think about setting up these pinches, not stacking as 5, right? I want us to think about how we can take advantage of our range and mobility, right? In this case, this might be the hardest example for us to look at. We have a very similar comp, right? Okay, right? So there's no like clear, oh, they're playing Rhine jump, we definitely play far away, right? But we still want to be fighting for angles, right? How can we do that? Well, we can play a longer sightline here with our soldier and have our brand push up, or we can play for a shorter range, right? With our, and take advantage more of that mobility with our Tracer and Lucio hit squad, coming from here and coming over here in the neutral, right? So next scrim, which would be, I guess later today, it's Friday for you guys. I want to see this implemented, right? It's not gonna click, but I want this. We can't stack as 5. That just can't happen throughout every single map, right? And I want to see an attempt, right, at setting up these crossfires, because what I saw tonight, it could have been a lot better, right? Putting it nicely, right? And these are things. I guess some closing notes, right? That's all the points I want to go through for the maps. This, especially like, oh, this just applies to scrim. This applies to every game of Overwatch and ranked, right? I from every ranked codes, I do ranked codes too, and it's the same thing with, I watch a Soldier player stand behind their Ramatra for a whole 10 minute 20 minute game. Like, you're not going to climb doing that. Right? You're just not going to climb doing that. So it's especially important, right? Not just for DPS, for all the roles as well, and understanding that on tank, understanding on support is especially important. All right, whether you're as a support, could be supporting your DPS, pushing this other angle, right? So they, live longer, get more kills, you help them get kills yourself. Whether that's you taking your own angle as Kiriko or Lucio, right? Or denying angles from the enemy team, right? Or as a tank, it's you taking that separate angle entirely. You don't need to be this quote-unquote front line all the time, right? So it's really, really important, right? I'd rather see my Ramatra go over here and flank behind with the Lucio than have 5 players stand here, right? And just lose, right? We want to work smarter, not harder, right? So that's my TED Talk. If you have any questions, you can reach me in my Discord. I am, let me double check. I am Gabe #2899 with a capital G, or you can leave a comment on the YouTube video. And I'll see you guys next time. Hope it was helpful.